Yeah, look, it was a topic on today's Macy's conference call, and the reality is what's priced in, I think, is tranche 1 through 3, but the unknown is if we really ramp up to this additional $300 billion, I don't think that would be priced into to really any of my coverage, in that it more or less would wipe out an entire year of earnings if that really were the case. Now, that said, the question is that the reality, and is that where we're really heading?
Oh, for sure. But just to follow that out for a moment, so Macy's is down 23%, I believe, this year. I know you're neutral on them, but you're saying that decline doesn't even really discount the spreading of tariffs?
No, I think the reality is, look, Macy's today, sales were a little bit better than expected. Margins were about in line. But the reality is they're on pace for their 5th year of EBITDA dollar decline. And so I think as you look at my space, you have a real spread between winners and losers, and it's really legacy retail versus convenience and value, which would be more off-price dollar stores and global brands. So to answer your question, you know, the reality in terms of what we've seen so far this year is we are seeing signs of the consumer in terms of a slight step down, but we're really seeing a bifurcation in terms of winners and losers within retail. And so far, Macy's is on the worst end of that, along with the remainder of the department stores.
Jan, the president is not blinking. That is not his manner to blink or back away. And it looks like he's getting ready to settle in for a good long slog. What if that happens? And address Matt's point, which is if the tariffs are extended to another $325 billion worth of goods, it could wipe out a year's earnings in retailers. Tell me the transmission mechanism that makes that happen.
Matt and I are 100% in agreement on this, and we've actually talked about it. But if this 325 gets hit, it applies across all the retailers that I care about. It will wipe out basically years of earnings because there is no ability to raise price. People will try to raise price, but we have an oversupply worldwide of product. And so there's a downward pressure. There's a lot of ability to substitute. They just won't be able to get the consumer to pay it. So it's going to get pushed all back through the supply chain. Now, some of that will get absorbed at the Chinese factories, just like it did on the first $200 billion, because they don't want to lose the business. But it will have to get absorbed through the system.
So they'll
whatever
eat some
remains,
of that cost.
They'll have to, and then we'll eat some of that cost through the retail side. And Matt and I both believe that if it really gets applied, we'll wipe out basically a year's worth of earnings growth in retailing, and then we kind of start over, right, because we've built that into the base.
So
mitigation is what we need.
Where do you hide, so to speak? Or as Matt said, if we're separating winners from losers, does all of this really matter? Are the companies that have been executing, you said off-price, you said dollar stores, going to be able to do well no matter what the environment?
Well, they're going to do relatively better, and they have for a long time. And DIY is going to do relatively better because they don't hit as hard with the tariffs, right? So there are people that will do better, but in general, this is applying pretty much across the board. So people who are not highly levered and maximum taxpayers survive, and people who aren't those two things go broke because there's going to put an enormous amount of pressure in the system. And we're already seeing all the stores close. We're going to have 12,000 stores closed probably this year already. Wow. We're probably going to have 15 or 16 retail bankruptcies. And if that's true and this happens, we could double those kind of numbers. So this is really a big deal. But the question is what you said. Are we going to blink? Are they going to blink? I tell you, we're not going to back down on the tariffs. Either China's going to start negotiating, or this 325 in 60 days is going to see 25%, and it's going to stay on till there's some movement. And that could be a very long, ugly process. And in the meantime, we'll all leave China as far as production goes.